That was a super good episode. We talked all about our 4 core life pillars, the first one on there being faith, and we talked about something about blue zones. What is that?
Yes, blue zones they're originally 5 places on this earth where the most people that live to be 100 years old live. What does that have to do with faith, Jeff?
We are going to find out in this episode. Enjoy, everybody.
Live your life with your friend. Pursue big things and accomplish your dreams. Learn to love and learn to grow. The Spouse Podcast, you are in the know. SBO USA, SBO USA. What can be your true destiny? SBO USA, SBO USA.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another awesome episode of the Spouse Podcast. I am Jeff, and this is the only in my life, my ex-girlfriend,
That's very good that I am the only in your life.
my ex-girlfriend. Yes, people are like, wait, that's weird. What? Yeah, well, you technically are my ex-girlfriend.
I got promoted.
You did. You got promoted. Lexie.
Hello, everyone.
This is awesome. Glad to be here. This is super cool. And we're getting into where we get to interview our couples that we've been talking about.
Yes. Who are we interviewing today, Jeff?
Never mind. Surprise. We are not going right into interviewing couples. So this is something we were discussing and we're like, you know what? We have some amazing couples, by the way, coming on board, and we can't wait to tell you guys about all the, I'm like, wait, really? These people are going to jump on our podcast? That is super cool. So some amazing couples coming on, but there was something before that we were like, oh my gosh, this is so important. So we talked about obviously our spouse framework, right? The SPOUSE and what all those mean. And I'm hoping every single one of you listen to those because there's a lot of value in that. We are going to talk about today, and the next couple podcasts, we're going to be talking about our 4 core life pillars.
What are those?
What are those? Yeah, that is a great question. So we're going to name them, and then we're going to talk about one of them, the first one, and why the first one's the most important as the foundation. So those life pillars are, you ready?
I'm so ready.
You want me to say them?
Yeah,
I
can
thought
you
we were
say
going to do
'em?
it together.
Okay.
No, I don't care.
You were just doing so good. I was like, yeah, keep it going.
On a roll over here. I had some...
Coffee?
Did I have coffee this morning? I did.
Oh, yeah.
I have it every morning now, which is nice
you're
to be
pumped.
able to be back into the coffee routine. Oh, boy. All right. So number 1 is faith. Yes, faith. FAITH. Yes, that's a very important one. Number 2 is family. Number 3, finances. Number 4, fitness. Fitness is interesting because it's not just a physical fitness. It's also mental fitness. So those are what we call our 4 core life pillars: faith, family, finance, and fitness. But we're going to talk about faith today. Why is faith, out of all those, why is faith number 1?
Why is it the foundation?
Why is faith the foundation? Why is it so important?
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's a lot of interesting statistics that we were doing some research before this because we know it's important, but we thought, are there any actual traits or numbers or, because faith is important to us. It is actually. One thing that I looked up that I was interested in knowing is everyone knows what the blue zones are, right? Do you know what the blue zones are, Jeffrey?
Do I? Kind of.
Kind of.
Elaborate.
I will tell you. So they're places on the planet. I think there's 5 original blue
On the
zones.
planet Earth?
They're
Wow.
all on the planet Earth, not on Mars yet.
Mind blown.
And they have the highest concentration of people that live to be 100 years old or older.
Let's hear it.
And one of those traits is having strong religious traditions.
Wow.
Yeah. And most of the centenarians, that's what a person is, that's
Okay.
100 years old.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, big words.
Century?
Yes,
Centenarian.
most of them belong to a faith community. Okay. And research also showed in these blue zones, you ready? Estimated that regular faith participation was associated with between 4 and 14 additional years of life expectancy. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right?
That is wild.
But it's not just that. It's not just living longer, right? But quality of life. So those were just some interesting things. And then we looked at too, okay, with serious illness and cancer, what's faith do to that? cancer patients with stronger religious or spiritual involvement report a better quality of life, reported less emotional distress during treatment, greater peace and hope during illness, and also improved adjustment following a cancer diagnosis. So, and it basically, there's all these different segments that we see benefits, right? With like marriage and family, like abuse of alcohol, smoking, just quality of life, psychological things.
Mm.
And these aren't just random things, these are like peer reviewed studies. So if you want to check that out, yeah, do
Yeah,
some
that's
research. But we thought it was really interesting that,
the blue zones.
yes, the blue zones and what faith can do. But
Longevity, yeah.
yeah, so faith, Jeff,
Oh,
would you say, well, you're not,
faith,
you
Jeff.
said it like you're in trouble. No. So a lot of people have faith, right? Or they say, like, especially in the United States, a really high percentage will say they're Christians.
Mm,
Right. But when we're talking about faith in this like instance and all of these qualities that come from having faith, we're not just talking about like, oh yeah, I believe in God.
right.
We're talking about, like, it's a part of your life. It's not just, "Yeah, I believe that, but I continue to live such and such way," and you don't see it integrated into any of the other parts of your life.
Mm,
And these were, even within those studies, it was, like, longer life expectancies of older people that attend church every week.
wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was interesting.
Yeah.
So you start to look at all things and that we research, it was like, wow, there's actual like physical, tangible, evidence of the benefit to it.
Yeah. So that's incredible, right? Like just all like there's actual like proven things of just having faith in belonging to a church or a community of people, the
Mhm.
longevity of life, how much sometimes better things are, but also things can be a lot worse too in some of the situations. So now while we're talking about faith, let us clarify, and all of our listeners probably know this already. For those that are new and just tuning in, we are Christians. We believe in Jesus. We believe in the Bible. And that's what we base our faith and fundamentals and all of the principles we live our life are through the Bible. Now, with that said, if you're not, that's you and you have your choice of whatever faith we want, especially in the United States. You can choose whatever you want to worship and whatever you want to be part of. We know where we're at is honestly the best place to be, but everybody has their own opinion in that. Now, with that said, here's where we're going to talk to, and this we're talking directly to Christians. We're talking to Christians that go to church, couples, all
Mhm.
that stuff,
And
right?
yes, and we're focusing on the couple aspect of it
Yes. Well, yeah, because obviously it's called the
because it's
spouse
the
pod.
spouse part.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now with that said, we're going to back up. So Lexi just gave you some stats, all in all encompassing of what faith is such a benefit to just be a part of a faith, an organization, right? But like I said, we are Christians. This is what we believe in. And what we teach in our couples community is faith is the number one. You have to have a strong foundation in faith. In our Christian faith, it's very, very clear on the biblical principles on what a man is called to do, a woman is called to do. It is very clear on those things.
And moral
And yeah, and like
principles
having a
that
moral compass,
mhm,
right? Like a direction to go.
right.
It's very clear on that. Now, if you actually believe in that and you actually practice those things, your marriage will be successful and you'll do really well. A lot of us have outside influence of what the marriage is supposed to be like now via social media, via what's on TV and stuff like that. And as men or as women, we kind of think that, oh, that's reality. And then we're like, why is it not working in our marriage? It just doesn't work. But if you focus on the biblical principles of what God calls marriage to be, it's a completely different thing. It's all about sacrificial love. It's all about giving to the other person and doing for the other person. And so with those fundamentals and focusing on, again, we talk about faith as the pillar. That's pillar number one. Everything is built off of that. So when we focus on that and we have a strong marriage and a strong faith background, like Lexi's constantly into the Bible every single day. We do devotions, we pray together, we do all these practices because that is the basis. And if we do that, we do that well, all other blocks that you now start stacking on top of that will be successful and will grow. But if you lose that faith background and you lose the principles of marriage and all those things, things will, after a while, start to crumble.
Mhm.
And that's the dangerous part. So,
And this is not to say that, "Oh, you're a Christian or you
mm,
have faith. Oh, it's gonna be easy."
no,
It's
no.
so hard.
Yeah.
And obviously, is it really, like, think about it, is it harder to do what's right and be good, or is it is harder to just do whatever you want and be selfish,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So it is more difficult, right, to walk down that road, but what we're saying is if you put in the extra effort and work on the selfless part rather than we see a lot of selfishness in the world, in the end, that extra effort is more than worth it.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, now we're taking the principles of our Christian faith and we're applying it to not only just our marriage, but our business
Mhm.
life, right?
Which is finances.
Which is finances,
Yeah.
right? And our family life, which is obviously by far one of the most important things on this earth that we need to invest in is our family. And when we apply like biblical principles and we stick with what the Bible calls and to always be giving to your family and doing for your family and stuff like that, it it benefits and works. Now, with all that said, the spiritual attacks from good old devil come in and they are constantly beating us or they're constantly trying to redirect things or mess things up. Why? Because we're seeking good. We're trying to do what God calls us to do, but we're in a world of sin. So we
Mhm.
will be getting attacked spiritually on a lot of those things.
But all this to say is that we start with faith, and that's the foundation because it also interacts with the other 3
Yeah.
core life pillars.
Right.
And I guess the first one, since we're mostly focused, at least in Campfire with entrepreneurial couples, a big part of the finance part is if you have biblical stewardship in mind rather than a just pursuit for more riches, then it also has a different meaning to you
Yes.
why you're doing what you're doing. And if you have one spouse that just wants more and more cars and bigger house and all of that, and you are trying to further God's kingdom, then there's going to be some friction there.
Yeah, you
So
have to do
this
that
is
together. Yeah.
yeah, so being aligned with, not just morals, but it's a whole lot easier if you both agree on we will follow what, you know,
Mhm.
the Bible as like a how to for your
Yeah,
life.
it's 100%.
It's easier to agree on those things.
Well, and also as Christians, we believe that all things are God's, right? God gives us the abilities to go out and do these things, whether it's building businesses or being super
Mhm,
strong or fit or whatever those things are. Those are abilities that God has given us, but we need to always remember that those are His. We
mhm,
don't take them with us. We know that when we leave this earth, we leave it all behind. But that's another part too, is if we remind ourselves constantly that God has given us the talents and abilities to do this, awesome. We don't let it get to our heads and we always give back. And like Lexie was saying, stewardship and doing those things, it keeps you level headed. So for those that are listening that have gained a lot of wealth and sometimes quickly, a lot of times your head inflates, right? Like just like winning a race or something like that. You're like, oh, I'm the best. I'm better than everybody here. And you start to build that. And yeah, there's a lot of truth there. But that's where the danger comes in,
mhm,
is to stay grounded in your faith, keeps you humble and reminds you of where all that stuff's coming from. And therefore, you're not getting this big head and you're like, I can take on the world, because at some point, those people will be humbled and they will be brought to their knees. And we see it. We see it in our culture today where people gain a lot of wealth and then
mhm.
they lose it all. And then there's
Or
or
popularity or
popularity and
whatever
they're
it might
yeah,
be.
it gets really, really bad. And I'm not saying God or anybody wants that for them, but that's the danger. And in the Bible, it does say the love of money is the root of all evil. So what does that mean? It means money, man, most Christians and other people will say, well, you believe that money is the root of all evil. No, no,
Mhm,
no. The love of money is the root of all evil. The meaning of that, if we look up the definition of love and what the biblical definition of love is, it's pretty intense. So if we're going after money and we put money as a God, as something that is over everything else that we do, that has now become your God. That has become your focus. And when that happens, it now becomes evil. And your mind is not directed towards of good. It's directed towards of bad, and then
mhm,
from there bad things happen. So being able to understand where money or all these things come from is a gift that God has given you, along with your health and all those other things, keeps you humble and keeps you focused on the, I don't know, what do you say, like the true path or direction you need to go. So let's talk really quick. We are, how far are we into this right now? Let's see.
We're
Oh
about
my God, we're about
halfway. I
halfway
know.
there. Woo!
That's why I was like, "Ooh, we
Dang.
better save some for the finances aspect and get back to the
Yeah.
faith."
Well, yeah, yeah. So, okay, so let's talk about some practical things that couples can do to
Yeah,
align themselves in faith.
how do we get on the same page, Jeff?
Oh my gosh.
How do
Well,
we agree?
we
Well, first we gotta communicate and talk about these things, right?
yep.
These aren't things that usually come up in everyday conversation of what are we having for dinner or are you taking the kid to soccer practice? It's like we have to be intentional and sit down and plan out these conversations. They typically don't just happen, right?
No, and they won't happen unless you
Mhm.
plan them out and really be intentional, like you said, about it.
Mhm. Right. And so what are some ways that we can do that? Setting aside special time, special place. I know we have some friends that they have a certain restaurant that every time they have, like, I think it's more like business related, but they save that for like, this is our business date. But if you can set aside some uninterrupted time to kind of just talk through where are you aligned on this?
Mhm.
How do you feel about, you know, where if we are going to church, how often we're going to church?
Yeah.
Like, how can I help support you in your, your walk with God? Those are some good places to start.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and it's like also again going back to the biblical side of it of the submission, man and woman and marriage and all that stuff. And like, man, I'll tell you one thing, just looking and talking directly to you is like we are the spiritual leader of the home. We are called to be the spiritual leader of the home. Now, that is our job to go to our spouse or our wife and say, "Hey, like, what church do you want to attend? Like, do you want to do Bible studies? Do you want to host Bible studies? Do you want to volunteer?" Like, we need to lead that as an example, not just for our wife, but also for our children. And if we're not doing that, we can't expect our family to be doing it. And I know sometimes you have, couples where the wife is already, in the church and going and is praying
Mhm.
for their husband. We've seen that many, many times. I'm not saying that's it. Every situation's not that way, right? That happens, but
Everybody has a unique
everybody has a
situation.
unique situation. Thank you. But the point that I'm trying to make to the men is if you know where your heart's at in your faith, are you taking the action steps necessary to deliver that to your wife and to your children? And are you an example of what Christ calls you to be to your family? Are you being the spiritual leader you need to be in that home? Are you going to your wife and saying, let's pray together? Or do you have dinner every night with your
The
family
way
and
you
pray over
said that
dinner?
was funny. You're like, let us pray.
Honey, where are you?
Get in here. We shall
Where
pray.
where art thou? Cometh here, and we shall now pray together.
Maybe don't for
No, and that's my
but yeah,
point, right?
that's the whole getting
Yes,
on the same
it's
page and
leading by example.
discussions,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
where I was going with that is right
Mhm,
to where you were just talking about is getting on the same page,
mhm.
having those discussions, and I will say this, our youngest daughter right now, Aubrey, and her boyfriend, they're been doing such a good job of just trying to talk about the future, trying to align things. They both go to church. And it's so cool to see that. It's so encouraging, right? Because sometimes, and for the Christian couples out there, maybe you met your wife in church and you're just like automatically assuming that our principles are aligned. We met at the
Right.
same church. Everything's awesome. We're just going to have a great marriage. We're going to get married by the pastor in this church. God will bless our marriage and we'll be perfect.
That would be nice.
That would be so nice. But guess what? That guy that blessed your marriage is not Jesus. And even if it was, you are in a world of sin and your marriage will continue to be tough. So maybe the first couple years you're in the honeymoon phase, everything's awesome, but then life starts to come in. Then we start to think like, why is this marriage life not working that I'm watching on Instagram or I'm watching on TV? How come they're successful at it and I'm not? Because they're actors.
Yeah.
But
Or if it's social media, they are not showing you when they fight.
they're fakers.
They're showing you all the
Yeah,
highlights.
and that's what I was gonna just get to is, like, do we fight? Yes. We have arguments. It's common in our marriage, and it's common in most marriages. That's gonna happen. We're human beings. But if we continue to focus on the fundamentals of marriage and what the Bible calls marriage to be, and we go back to those things, we will get better and better and better at it. But if we just assume that the church blesses our marriage and they sprinkle dust on us, and it's just we're so in love, we can't take our eyes off each other, like I said, that honeymoon phase will end and you're going to come back to something that where you need fundamentals and guidance and a compass to align and stay towards true north. And the way to do that is what we say through the biblical principles and guidance through what the Bible gives us.
Yes. So just a few helpful, we've talked, about doing re-engage with couples at our church, and that is super helpful and a really good conversation starter. If you can go online, you can search and see where the nearest
Yeah,
re-engage
re-engage is a good study.
um is available. It's Watermark Church, and they also have I can't remember what it's called, but they have a pre-marriage course too. So if you don't know where to start, don't try to wing it on your own. Find something that's already, proven, plan. It's way easier to jump into something like that.
Yes, yes, 100%. So, things that we do in our marriage that help us align in our faith.
Also, I would like to say, this is after, a lot of years. This is not
Uh-oh.
this is how we started, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
just
we started this way,
Oh,
right? Remember
yeah, yeah.
when God married us? When
Yeah.
when we were married,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
was perfect?
It was perfect, and we just were like, "Yeah, we will have all of these good habits that we do together." No, this is a process, and so what we do might not work for you, and you might be at the very beginning, and you're trying to figure this out. So, we're always trying to improve and get better.
Yes,
But
100%.
this is, just things we do currently that we've, over the years, added to the routine.
Yep. Yep. And for that, again, like I was saying, individual we'll start with, okay? So individually, we get up in the morning and we do our Bible studies and we pray individually. Just whatever studies Lexie does or whatever studies I do. Like currently right now I'm doing the book of Proverbs. I'm doing like the wisdom books and stuff like that. And then just praying over my family and over my faith in my life and how I can be a better husband and father and grandfather and all those things, along with our businesses and stuff like that. And then you do your similar thing too, right?
Mhm. Yeah, different it used to be you had to go and actually order a book, right? And now we have the Bible app, and that makes it so much easier. You can go and search really, any topic
Yeah,
of devotional, and there's hundreds on there,
hundreds.
so that I would recommend using the Bible app if you don't know where to start.
Yeah, but
Do not start with trying to read the whole Bible.
no, it's listen for those that are
That's a
like, I'm
lot.
going to do this. I'm just going to read the
Yeah,
Bible in a year.
small steps.
It takes you'll get into Genesis and get excited, and by the time you get to the next book, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god," and then it's gonna get really hard to read, and again, it's very important that all that's in there, and it's more understanding once you kinda understand what the Bible's trying to do there, but it's really good to just read the book of John like, Matthew, all that, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all those.
Starting in the New
Starting in
Testament.
the New Testament, there's a lot of good there. The wisdom books are really good, and then that kinda gives you a basis and fundamentals to go after reading some of the Old Testament and other things. So, yeah, so it's about I don't wanna get off track here, but it's about we do individual studies, we do, group studies, so we host a Bible study together, which we're gonna be starting here soon. We were involved in our church doing this re-engage study as leaders, so there's a lot of stuff there that you do together, right? Obviously, we go to church on Sundays, we go to church this evening actually too, on Thursday evenings to volunteer at the church and stuff like that. So those are little things that we do throughout the week to keep us engaged in our faith. And then one of the other big things we do is we pray together. And that's something that we want to challenge all of you to do. And that is literally just to sit down. And if you guys remember in our spouse framework, SP, the P was pray together. And it's like, well, why would that even be just its own acronym? It sounds like that's crazy. It's not. There's so much benefit in just sitting down together with your spouse, holding their hands, and just praying out loud together. It's very, very bonding, but it's like a spiritual bonding that's happening there too between you, the two of you and Christ that you're praying to, your God. And that is a something that you have to do it to understand it. But a key part of that is you're also praying and you're aligning too, because you're talking about things that are in concern, like Lexie's talking about things that are in concern for her. I'm talking about things that are in concern for me or what I see going on. We're praying for others and families and this and that. It's just a time to really kinda listen into each other's prayers, support each other's prayers, pray along with them, and just having that bonding in that moment together is very, very special. So, besides praying together, besides doing Bible studies individually, you can set up a men's group, you could do a women's group. We have our couples community that we also talk about these things and just dive in to all things faith or spirituality. Get very connected to those things. And then once you do that, and again, men, once you're leading that, and again, like Lexi said, you're not forcing it. You're not like, we're going to church. Like we did that as kids. We grew up and it was like, now you go to church, now you do this. And you were the same. And it was like super, we all went, but I started to be like, I'm just going to go outside and skateboard. I'm tired of going to church. It's super boring. It's not fun. Do not force this, but if you, especially men, when you have young kids, if you just continually go and it just becomes part of your routine, that is a good thing. The kids, after a while, understand like, oh, we're going to church today, and that kind of stuff. So that's a good way to engage them. But what I would suggest, especially for your children, is make it obvious that you're reading your Bible. Sit out in the living room, sit out somewhere and do it every day consistently at the same time. And your young ones will see you doing that. And that's so helpful for them to be like, they're doing it. I remember my dad all the time, he would sit down and just sit in his chair and read the Bible. And my mom would always have like, what was it? Focus on the Family playing on her radio all the time, every day, loud as second. She would carry her radio around from room to room
She'd
and
be
have
like,
it blasting.
"Listen to this, Jeff."
Yeah. So, but I remember that. So as I got
Mhm.
older, even though I walked away, as I got older, I kind of reverted back to those things. Those are just like subtle, I guess we'll say, hints that you can do to involve your family. The other thing to involve your family is literally sit down and read the Bible together. We do Bible history shows.
Mhm.
Those are
Yeah, or something together.
yeah, watch something
There's a
together.
ton of different.
Yeah.
Now what's available is so much more expansive than, like, when we were kids. It was like
Yeah.
you had to special order the VHS that was, like,
Oh my
$50.
gosh, so
So
crazy.
now it's pretty easy to find, even shows that you could watch together,
Yeah.
and depending on the age of your kids, like, what they're interested in.
So it's key. It's that is super good. So we're doing Bible history with our youngest daughter right now,
Mhm.
along with some other Bible shows. They're super fun, engaging to watch, and it's intriguing us now because we wanted to go do it like what we call it a biblical cruise, and we're setting one up to go and look at like all these amazing places where we know in the Bible. Where John, wrote the book of Revelation, right? Like where Paul has walked, where Jesus has walked, like amazing places that we can actually go to and see for ourselves or touch those areas is pretty amazing. And that's something that's intrigued us that we all want to do as a family together is be able to go do those things. So just amazing things like that. And again, the whole idea of all this is connecting not just you individually, not just the two of you in your marriage, but when you connect all that together, it spills out into your family. It spills out into your finances, which is your businesses, if you're an entrepreneur and stuff like that. And it can even go as far down into your fitness because we talk at the very end, we're going to talk on fitness. And fitness is, again, not just physical strength, it's mental strength. And a lot of mental strength we get, like Lexie was saying in the beginning, from our faith, right? If we are devoted to the Bible and we read the wisdom books in the Bible, and we do what God tells us to is to read and ask for wisdom, yeah, he gives it to you. So just those kinds of things, that's mental fitness. That's getting better and better and better. So I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, that was about it. Good job, honey.
Awesome. And we ended right on time. This has been super, super cool. Listen, for those of you that want to know more about faith, for those of you that are not into a church, and maybe some that have been in church before, and now you're like, I'm over church. I don't want any part of it. But you feel that draw to come back. That's God calling you. God's calling you to come back. Don't walk away from those things. I've done it for years. I think a lot of us have. And it's okay if you do, but God needs you back. So we ask you to contact the church, contact a friend of yours, someone that you can talk to that you know's a Christian that's in the faith and talk to him and say, hey, can I come hang out or can we go get a drink together? Or can I come to church with you? Whatever it is, go to a Bible preaching, Bible believing church. You can look that up online. There's lots of good churches out there, and then they always need people. It's not like they're like, oh, we're not going to take you. So, and then if they do
We're
say
full.
that, then you don't go there. But seriously, look into that. God is calling you. Do not ignore those calls because we only have so much time. Our time is limited. We don't know when our time is going to end. And I'm not trying to be like the fear monger, like you're going to die
Yeah.
tomorrow. But my point is we will always regret not taking the time to do it when we need to do it. So handle those things, take care of those things, connect your faith. It's so important to live off of what God calls us and be the person or the man or the woman that God calls us to be. And the only way we're going to find that is when we truly seek what he's asking. So thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. This has been an awesome, awesome podcast. And guess what? Next episode, we're not going to go to couples interviews yet. We're sticking with our 4 core life pillars. So we just did faith. Now we're rolling into the best one on this earth that we can talk about and that is the importance of family. So excited to see you guys then. Thank you so much. Check us out, Jeff and Lexie on Instagram. Y'all take care.
SPOUSA, the Spouse Podcast is the place to be. Keep each other in mind and you'll see what can be your true destiny.